Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is our fourth week of the coaching adventure and creativity. And I want to just ask first how your last week went. I want to know if you found the third expression, letting go, to be useful to you in terms of finding some new aspects of yourself, understanding and celebrating any of your broken parts, and expressing yourself, letting go of the judgment, self-judgment in particular, or standards that don't need to be met. So on the heels of that, the next aspect of creativity that we're going to be doing is really finding our resonance, finding out more about who we are through looking at other people's work and seeing what feels right, what resonates with us. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen with you. And here we go. Okay, so creativity. We are looking at week 4, collaborating and resonating. So when we talk about collaborating and resonating, we're talking about two different aspects that may be applied to yourself as well as to others. And the first thing is really to collaborate first with yourself. If you did the Cornerstones course, you'll remember that collaborating with your different parts, in particular your limbic system, for a start, helps you to get over the reactive part and allows you to begin to let go control and to experience choice. And that is all about your creativity, is about choice. So first, starting with collaboration with yourself. Just a quick review in case you've forgotten or haven't yet taken Cornerstones. When you're talking about yourself, your brain is actually comprised of several different components, some of which have a simpler way of interacting with life. They're more reactive and less planning based. So as you may remember, the first part of the brain to evolve was the brain stem. And the brain stem is responsible for keeping you breathing, even if you're knocked out. So it overrides the rest of the brain. Keeping you breathing is of paramount importance. The next part to evolve was the limbic system. This is also called the lizard brain, the reptilian brain, and we call it the inner toddler or the inner lizard, because that part of the brain responds to pain and pleasure and demands what it demands. It wants what it wants. So we enjoy eating because that keeps the individual alive. We enjoy reproductive activities because that keeps the species alive. And when the immediacy of a situation arises, the limbic system will say to either continue, get more, keep going, do the same thing you've done before, and keep fulfilling its immediate desire rather than thinking about your higher self, your decision-making self, your planning self, the executive function of the brain. And so learning to collaborate with that inner toddler is one of the first steps in terms of tapping into your creativity. The inner toddler or the inner lizard is going to say, no, don't do anything differently. Don't create something new. Don't make a different choice because you're still alive. So what I've told you to do actually works, and I don't want you to venture further. So in order to be able to venture further, collaborating with that inner toddler and saying, I really appreciate the fact that you're helping me, you're trying to help me, and that you are looking out for me. But I've got this, we're okay. And I want to make a different choice than what I've made before. That's this first step in collaborating with your inner self or your inner parts. So that's a very important step in terms of being able to make new choices and express yourself and the self you want to be. One of the interesting things that happened in 2021 was this TikTok video that was put up, and it showed an enormous amount of collaboration with others. This is a postal worker. I can't remember. I think he was in Scotland, and he put on a simple sea shanty, just singing without accompaniment. But over time, others were so taken by this sort of bass line that they added their voices, they added musical accompaniment. Some of the biggest stars in the UK and even in the US added into this. It became a phenomenon that went viral. And it just shows the power of collaboration with others. So how do we collaborate with others? Why do we collaborate with others? Why did everybody collaborate with that TikTok video? It has to do with resonance. Now, resonance, of course, means one thing in physics, and it means a little different thing in terms of your own psychology. So resonance is the matter of actually feeling in sync with energy that exists. So if you look at the right-hand photo, you'll see organized energy. This is a simple wave pattern in water that when it crosses with another wave pattern in water, it either adds to it or it detracts from it. And that is a resonance. So when you're listening to someone or seeing someone's work that you respond positively to, that is an indicator of resonance with some aspect of their work, something about that person or something about the work that that person did. When it feels dissonant to you or not harmonious or it repels you, then that's more of a disorganized energy. So if you're looking to collaborate, it's really strengthening to be in sync with the collaborator. However, you can get some remarkable results if you collaborate with someone whose energy is vastly different than your own. The reason that it's really quite natural to collaborate with someone with whom you resonate is because of the explosive energy that arises from that collaboration. We're all familiar with the resonant frequency of a goblet, such as this depicted, that's being shattered by energy, in this case, sound energy, that vibrates the crystal of the goblet in its natural resonant frequency, and it extends beyond its ability to hold together. That is, the forces that hold it together are being overpowered by the forces of absorbing the additional energy. If you don't get its natural frequency, the goblet won't shatter. It will vibrate, but if it's in a disorganized manner, it won't amplify, it won't add to it, and it won't explode the goblet. So if we're trying to amplify our own self-expression, then resonating with someone else's energy and amplifying then your own expression is the way to go. So how do you know your own resonance? One of the ways to learn about your own resonance is to observe others' art. Now, in this case, I've just given you some images because I'm a painter and I love images. So I look at these images and for different reasons, I resonate with them. You may resonate with someone's music. You may resonate with someone's dance moves. You may resonate with someone's cooking style. Any of the art expressions, any creative expression, you may find others who trigger some response in you. And that would be resonating with someone else's art, with others' art. So when you look at each of these images, you may find that you're drawn to them, or you may find that you're not drawn to them. And in this case, for an example, the John Singer Sargent image of El Jaleo, this dancer, when I first saw it at the Gardner Museum in Boston, I was simply struck dumb. I stood and looked and watched and gazed at this image for a long time because it elicits some reaction in me. It is compelling. The dance, the mood, the players, the colors, the composition, all of those aspects, and the brushstrokes, all of those aspects resonate with something that expresses who I am as well. On the other hand, Egon Schiele is not as resonant. I like some of his work, but it doesn't sing to me. So I don't resonate as readily. So if I'm looking for my resonance, then I would say, okay, John Singer Sargent, yes, Franz Hals with his mischievous lute player there, and that little gleam in his eye of delight, that triggers something in me that I like to express in my own art as well. So looking at others' art is one, or in whatever field of art, is one way to find who you are, who you resonate with. Those are hints of how you might express yourself. So there are small birds, particularly in Africa, that build nests that are suspended in the trees. This is just one example. There are hundreds of different species, and they build very different nests. But an interesting phenomenon, when I was learning about weaver birds many, many years ago, scientists were curious about how they could figure out how the weaver bird did its nest. So they would take a nest, they would add a little additional straw or leaf or whatever piece, in this case, it looks like they've woven it with grass, put a little extra piece of grass in the bottom of it, and the weaver bird would weave it in. And they would put another piece in, and the weaver bird would weave it in, and another until they had a very long extension on the nest that was like an entryway that was far in excess of what they ordinarily would weave. But the weaver bird can't resist weaving. It weaves, and if there's a loose end, it will weave it in. So they learned that there was almost no limit to how the weaver bird might be compelled to construct a very, very different nest by adding a loose end. So the weaver bird was compelled. In addition to that, the weaver bird, if it is put into captivity without any weaving materials, they'll weave each other's tails. They are compelled to weave. Likewise, we are compelled to express ourselves in whatever way we are in the world. And we can make that small and hidden, or we can let go and make it larger and more collaborative. We can make it bigger and louder so that we connect with more people. There are choices that we have, but no matter which end of the spectrum we're on, we still express ourselves. We still weave our own nest. We create in the way that expresses ourselves, whether it's marking with a single pencil, whether it's splashing paint, whether it's dancing, cooking, or making music. Whatever we do, it's an expression of ourselves, and we have choices about how expansive, how resonant we can be. So someone like Andy Goldsworthy was someone who made art in nature that reflected nature. And here you can see 3 examples that really are nest-like, or in the case of the left-hand image, sort of almost like our solar system. And it's part of nature, it's collaboration with nature. In the case of the top nest, it actually is a collaboration. He created it, but he's collaborating with a bird that weaves a nest. He may not have the bird actually be participant, but he's taken what the bird's done, he's recreated it with his own twist. And likewise in the image in the bottom, it's kind of a woven nest, but it's also a portal and it's a sculpture. So when we express ourselves, we can express ourselves with others, in reaction to others, in reaction to different emotions or places, and invent something wholly new. So I want to just give you a little hint of an interesting case study. This is Chuck Close, and he has a inability to recognize faces. This is a particular disability, a particular flaw, if you will, in him. And yet he has made his career on portraits. These are oversized portraits. And when you're looking up close, you can see in the third panel that it seems very abstract. And yet when it's put together, he actually creates these photorealistic portraits. Interesting that in the absence of being able to recognize faces, that's where he put his energies as an artist. So this is the name of face blindness, prosopagnosia. And here is an example of a self-portrait that he did. And you can look at the detail that he's scribbling, but he's got the tones right and ultimately creates an image that is highly recognizable. So when you're looking at different artists, whether it's tiny work, such as the landscape on an almond, or 2 pencil leads, actually it's 1 pencil, just carved down to its single lead, or tiny little houses, whatever it is you're doing, from the tiniest to the largest. This is Christo's work. He's a man who has put enormous artworks in the world. They often are collaborative with the space. In this case, it's a building cover, or in some cases, he's put beautiful colors around an island. His is massive work, whether it's small or large, whether it's tonal, such as Giorgio Morandi, who worked with the negative space between objects in very subtle tones in terms of his work, or highly colorful, as we see in Wolf Kahn's work, that is all about the vibrancy of color. Whatever it is, you can express yourself. And so by asking yourself, what is life like for you? You are responding to life in a creative way, expressing yourself. And this is how you find out, essentially, you look back on your work and say, oh, I'm an abstract artist, or, oh, I like to do breakdancing, or whatever it is. And so you discover that as you resonate with others' work and as you resonate with yourself. So collaborating and resonating with self and others is really a journey. And so I'd like you to take a moment to reflect. Well, take as long as you like, it doesn't have to be a moment, but to reflect and journal about your thoughts about collaboration with yourself and others, and about resonating with yourself and others, and see if that opens up some new space for you to express yourself and to amp up your creativity. So if you want further engagement, then there's a TED Talk that I would encourage you to look at, by Titus Kaffer in 2017. And also to keep journaling about who you are, because the cool thing is that as we express ourselves, we see continuity between who we were and who we become, but we're never the same. We continuously change. We grow, we morph, we change, we're impacted by our lives and by our experiences. And at all times, then, when we express ourselves, it reflects that which we've experienced. So enjoy this week. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. Enjoy this week and really take it as an opportunity to have some self-discovery, to learn who you are as an artist. Look at people's work, listen to music, watch dance, find out what you resonate with, look at your own work and see what happens if you bring it bigger or make it smaller. All of those experiments are really optional in order to find greater choice. And with greater choice, you have greater creativity. So I'll look forward to seeing you next week. And in the meantime, have a lovely time. Bye for now.